Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
What is up, everybody? Hopefully you are enjoying your Saturday wherever you are in the world. It's Molina Mike here, and I got a little day one recap, day two preview show. I tried to get Pinozo on, and he will be on tomorrow, actually, but he won't be on today. Spoiler alert. So I have to call in the big guns. I have to call in some reinforcements here. So I'll bring in that special guest here momentarily. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see me all right. Let me turn on the chat here for this one. This should be a pretty good show. Let me know what you guys thought of yesterday. It was a bit of a swing, at least at the beginning. So let me see if this guy watched any. He's usually been known to check out pool a time or two. Mr. Nui, welcome. Welcome back, sir.
What can I say?
Did you have to put Collins Nui dash post up as your thing?
Are you even surprised about yesterday? Is anyone surprised, really? Come on.
Is that
I have to put post up there.
Is that what you got? You're always like you're Mr. Branding over there. Are you surprised? Melissa Tahoe, I'm so ready to go. Can't wait. I can't wait.
I am a little surprised that the gap became so apparent so quickly. Okay. And
we're gonna get into that. And I know you got just the heads up. If Collins has to dip out, he's got a tournament. He's playing like in a 333 and under out there at Hard Times. So and there's two of them there. So if he has to dip out, just be warned. So let's start with the beginning. Yeah, almost Joey 2.0 over there with Collins. Man, what do you guys got going on there at Hard Times, dude?
Scotch doubles, baby. Scotch doubles, $50 entry for the team, and they added $500 to the tournament, like the room did. So it's a cool little fun tournament. I think we ended up with like 25 teams or something like that.
20.
So we're just kind
of $50 a person, not $50 a team.
$50 a team.
Oh, I know it should be 50 a person, 50 a head, 50 a man or a woman.
You know that's how I would prefer to play, but it's just a fun little Saturday thing. So. Yeah.
All right, let's start off with the beginning. We'll start with the match at hand. I know you got your big money match coming up here in about an hour or so, but we'll shelve it for now. I did a little show with Mike yesterday. I've been talking. I talked with Shane this week. I talked with Fedor this week, and I've been pretty vocal as far as how I thought it was going to go. I want to get obviously It's fair to say, like, if there was a Fedor. If there was a Fedor fan club, you may or may not be the president of the Fedor fan club. Is that an accurate
statement? Okay. So I was working yesterday, so I missed the majority of like the first little bit of it, I guess, like until it was 20 games in or so. And then when I heard the tail of the tape, you told me basically that I guess Fedor started with 4 in a row and then lost 10 in a row, right?
Crazy, yeah.
Was Shane just breaking good at that point, or was Fedor making mistakes, or what was going? Do you remember?
The beginning was a little bit rougher for me to follow up with, but I don't think it was like he hit him with 10. I think it was like real scrappy, scrappy 10. But nonetheless, he ended up going up 10-4. Right. But what I did see though was the opportunities that Fedor got. Fedor was not able to capitalize like we would expect from him, and like we saw towards the end of the day.
Sure, and then Fedor responds with like a 25-3 or like 20-something-4 games or something like that.
Yeah,
and just absolutely runs away with the set. And honestly, I remember when it was happening, I was talking to I think it was Carl Wilson at the bar top, but it was just like if you would have seen that happen or that string of games happen in like say the U.S. Open. At like a race to, like somewhere in the final 16 or something, if you would have seen that string of games, you would have been like, no one's going to beat Fedor. There's just no way to beat this guy. And I know that the U.S. Open's not. I know it's a different format, but you get what I'm saying. Like, just that string of games is pretty insane. So,
yeah, I mean, look, this is what I thought after watching that small sample size that I did of seeing them practice the other day. Like for me, that's always going to be the indicator for me. And with Fedor last year. Although, like, his break was obviously formidable because he only lost by 4 games and he was up quite a bit throughout that entire match, each and every day, actually. But for me, it was, even though he wasn't beating the Ghost, which pros and ghosts is a whole other conversation, but it was the fact that he was dressing up the one, and that's what I kept on echoing the entire time as I'm kind of like dissecting this match, and I'm trying to will myself into like figuring out a way in my head that Shane can win this,
Mm-hmm.
But
he's just gonna have to go. He's just gonna have to go like 2024 U.S. Open God mode and just go on autopilot. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to play Fedor into a coma,
Right. Yeah. So it's like I don't know if you noticed this though, and correct me if I'm wrong. If anyone else in the chat has noticed, yesterday, the times when Fedor didn't get a shot on the one on the break, he was getting blocked by the same ball that screwed him constantly last year. Have you guys noticed that? It's like the same situation as last year. It's so remarkable how consistent his break is.
Yeah. And what even more, I would argue, was the fact that he was able to make the adjustment that essentially is what afforded him this 18-game lead. I think closing out the day on a 36-12 run or something like that, to finish out the day, which is just crazy, winning 3-1 on your money. But it's that control is what makes him dangerous. And you can have the debate whether, you should be playing 10 ball with a template or with a triangle rack or whatever. But this is how they decided to play, right? And when I saw him practice, I thought, and that's as soon as he went live and I seen 15 minutes of it, I said it could get bloody on day one, because that's what he can do after the break. I know like that's his home away from home, so to speak, because he's close by. But like we've all seen it at some point or another what that dude can do with an open layup, and it all begins with having a starter. Part of what made that WNT run for me so remarkable for last year was the fact that like he's having to like grind, so to speak, in terms of not being able to control the one and having to earn his way through each rack. This is a much like he worked on his break so well where it's just on a silver platter for him post break, dude. It's unreal.
And the balls are all spread out too. Yeah. Like he's got the speed dialed where like it's very rare where he gets a random kiss where a ball ends up near another ball, like they're all just all over the table. So it's going to be, at this point, Shane needs Fedor to fumble a little bit, and then he needs to go God mode.
Well, so, Shane had a couple of opportunities late last night from what I saw, and Shane was just his arm was dead, or his head was dead, whatever you want to say, and he wasn't able to capitalize on the few opportunities that Fedor was able to give him towards the end of the night. Now, I think he was down like 35-15, somewhere around there, maybe. Or
I can hear your little horror movie going on in the background.
I got my girls watching. They're watching. It's not a PG movie. They're watching Halloween over there, okay? Because they like horror movies. To my little girls,
they like the gore?
They like
each of these kids.
I'm not winning any Father of the Year awards, my man. Okay, I'm not. I'm okay with it. I've already accepted that. So no, but I've been keeping them entertained all day. I said I got to do a show. They said it was all good. But look, that inconsistency and the way that Shane is scrapping through the break is what I saw of him last year. And I would see him work at Rail Yard last year for hours on end, and you can tell like he had probably 3 to 4 solid things. You want to say hi, Mama? 3 to 4 solid things. Like when I say things, I mean like different breaks that he could use to try to figure out in that moment, like, hey, is this going to work? But like even after 3 days last year, whenever he won, he still didn't have it dialed in.
Yep.
So in this one, when I saw, especially at the end of the night, when he finally did, I've never seen Shane hit a 10 ball break so flat in my life. Like that. Shane's like built this, this resume of being able to pop and squat that rock playing 10 ball and demolishing dudes.
Or the cue ball, actually, lately, the last few times that I saw him catch that ridiculous gear where it looked like pool was the easiest thing on the planet, he'd pop the cue ball up and it would follow the one ball back up table. It would like come back up table out of the traffic and be on the same side of the table as the one. And anyway, it's just like, I actually see that comment in the chat. Shane's just smashing the rack and depending on luck. It can look like that when it's not working. But when he's doing the thing that he intends to do, it's pretty remarkable. But it's just like, clearly not working right now.
Well, he's having to like play pool in order to get that point. Where Federer's playing tic tac toe in order to earn that point
Right.
because he's honed in that break so extremely well to that gentleman's point there in the chat, And so I think that's when it starts to happen, you kind of think, okay, well, it's Shane. We've seen Shane before. We've seen him against Jason Shaw multiple times. We've seen him against Cheng Jin Lin. I've seen him against Orcolo. I've seen him against Federer last year. He's going to figure it out. He was up 10-4, but then it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen because Federer just was cruising in his beach shorts just around the table, break and run, break and run.
Yeah, exactly. Every time he, converted a win from Shane's mistake, he'd convert it into like 1, 2, or 3 more every time.
Yeah.
It was like,
it just reminds me of like boxing, homie. Whenever you see like someone just jabbing a dude down, jab, then goes with the body blow, but he's keeping them at arm's length with that jab, peppering them with 1s, 2s, and 3s every single time. And because that consistency is so there, is so prominent, it's like you just know that it's not going to be one. Like you're lucky if you only lose that one, because more than likely you're going to get hit with at a minimum 2 to 3.
One more. Well, at least one more. It's like that's what it feels like on average. It's like 1.5 guaranteed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pete Brown says in the chat, Shane was starting at around noon, not 6:30. Fatigue could have been a huge factor. Yeah, I don't think, for me personally, just given Shane's experience in this format, to me that's tough to fade because he knows what to expect. He's played until 2, 3 a.m. before on any given night. So it's I can't really be so much of a buyer on that because Shane's legacy is built on these long, Ironman style races. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a tough sell for me. But I mean, it is low hanging fruit when you see Federer kind of just looking fresh towards the end of the night, which we didn't see last year. But it's a kudos to his adjustment period ahead of this event, man.
Right. It makes sense. Hey, Raymond, hopefully that made a difference. Mike, is my sound coming through differently, cleaner?
Your sound's coming in, real different, but in a good way. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Got the radio.
Sorry about that, guys. I had the Restream software got me this time. My bad.
Yeah. Giuseppe asked, was there a spot? No, they're playing even. They're playing even just like they did last year. There's
a pretty hefty spot now going into day 2.
Well, it's an 18 game separates them. Do you think it'll get better or worse for SVB after today?
I don't see how. I mean, Federer would have to come in with some serious brain fog for it
Which
to
he did have yesterday. He did have yesterday to start the day. He did look a little out of sorts.
Looked a little unsettled, but that's also like nerves and getting into this big match that he's been really promoting for a long time. It's like a big part of his identity is running on, as a pool player, is running on this type of thing. The fact that he could build up a match and then perform. So it's like, I can understand that, but it would seem that, or you would think that after a day like yesterday, he's probably coming into today feeling pretty good.
Look, for me, seeing like the social media post from Federer, and he was like, day 1 in the books, and I'm feeling pretty good on day 2. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, of course you're fucking feeling good. You're up by 18 games, like, no, you don't say, but like when my head was going towards, okay, let me see where Shane's at to see if there's any kind of hope for today. Okay. So I reached out to a friend of mine who's there in Louisville, and is really, really close with Shane. And I said, how's he doing mentally? It's the only thing I care about. How's he doing mentally? And they said, he's in good spirits. He's feeling good. He's loose. I think that's clearly the experience talking there, because he's been there, he's done that. He's faded stuff like this before in the past. But this just feels a little different. Like,
sure.
At the time last year when Federer's up 11, I'm thinking it could get bad, but it wasn't bad yet. Like it was on the verge of getting bad.
Yeah.
This feels like it's insurmountable because he's starting the day off with the break. He's going to be practicing before they get going. I'd imagine that one ball is going to be dressed up again. And if he hits him with another 2 or 3 and he's up by 20 plus games, I mean, I don't know, man. I can't for the life of me figure out a way where this can become a match.
Well, I want to say one thing, and you could probably relate to this and understand what it is that I'm saying, but even with pure coin flips, or 50-50 clicks of the button. There you can have a day where it's just like, oh my God, I only won 22 and the other guy's won 40, and it's like, how is this 50-50? How is it possible that this is 50-50? Yeah. But then it's like the next day comes around and you're like, I can't lose, and it's like, it's just how things go. And that kind of goes to what Raymond's saying. Big runs are the nature of it. Shane was up 22-18 against Alex, and Alex went on 2 runs to win the match. Shane now has the pressure of going on a run. So that's the only difference, right? When you're dealing with pure coin flips and 50-50s, there's no emotion involved. It's just pure odds. This game's a little different, right? There's a little bit of this going on. There's the game off the table that you have to play, and it's a tall order for Shane to deliver. So we'll see.
It's just that problem of like if there were glimmers of hope, I could be a buyer. If they were this comment by Ike is probably the comment of the year, by the way. Just so
I know, Ike always just
motherfucker bring me like 18 spins when it was 50-50. Okay, easily. No, but it's like if I saw there was something that you could hold on to say, and outside of the fact that like you're a fan of Shane, you've seen him win big matches before. I've never seen him come back like this before. And and even whenever he has like held off guys before or gotten across the finish line whenever he was trailing or close to the entire match, it's like he always had this break that he could find that you've seen throughout the match. I haven't seen that in this match, man. I haven't seen that where like you can sit Fedor down for 5 or 6, let Fedor get back to, come back and hit him with 5 or 6, let Fedor get back to, and then figure out a way. Okay, now I'm +8 on the day, and I can figure out a way. I haven't seen it. And listen, if anyone can do it, it's that dude, Mr. SVB, Captain America. But Fedor is tough action when everything is working for him, and everything worked out for him to perfection yesterday, dude.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't miss many jump shots either. His cute little jump shots with position that he usually shoots, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" It's like
I didn't see. I checked out during that. I heard him say a couple things in the commentary about he was like 3 for 3 or something on jump.
Yeah, he made 2 or 3 like really solid. What you might call simple jump shots, but with position. But
it's like
he just looks real comfortable.
We almost take it for granted with Fedor for sure. I saw one where like.
Sorry, last year in this match, he wasn't jumping the ball well. He was missing all kinds of jump shots, ones that were like hangers. You would think.
And then he picked up the propel and snapped off a U.S. Open.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, but there was one where I saw because Shane was up, like I said, 10-4, something like that. And then when it became like right around 12-12, maybe 13-12, something like that, maybe 11-12. Federer got really bad on the ball where he had to jump. I think it was he jump banked a 7 ball, like cross table, made it. He called it, made it, and then he ended up getting perfect on the 8 ball or whatever it was. But it was like that was a huge shift, and you didn't realize it in the moment because he's barely just made it that deficit. But then he ended up just continuing to run, and that's what I was getting to earlier. As far as like, it's not going to cost you one. It's going to hurt you real bad. It's you're at a high percentage likelihood of it being 3 or 4. You're going to get punched back with every single time you give that guy an inch.
Yep.
Did we have a bet on this match?
I told you so. I just hate to say I told you so. What? It's not over yet, boys. We'll
you
see
didn't
how it
say.
goes.
Oh, this is what you said. Fedor's in God mode. That was like your expert take on this matchup.
No, I said Fedor is probably going to win by at least 12 games.
When did you tell me that?
In one of your comments on one of your things on that. What's your Facebook page? What's it called?
What? I don't know. Go find the post. Go find the comment so that we can get some clarification. Because I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, I thought he was going to win pretty convincingly.
I said last year he gave up ball in hand 16 more times than he got ball in hand, and he only lost by 4 games. I think I might have said Hill. I might have been an idiot and said Hill. But
where are you getting these stats?
You want me to? He might be here in the building. You want me to go get him?
No, just actually, if he did stats for yesterday, I'd love to see what they were. But
I don't know if he did stats for yesterday, but I know he did the whole thing last year.
last year,
We're talking about the pool stat guy, Mike Salmon, but
he also does them for Pro Bird Series. Mike does a great job with
he does a great job,
all of his tedious stats that he goes and does. But which that one was really telling for me, and that's what I meant though. Like going back to last year and how everything just kind of fell together perfectly for Shane. You mentioned the jump queue earlier. We all know if you're gonna go and start ranking guys on the jump queue, Fedor's number one. Maybe Jesus is number two. And then it's like, okay, you can start having your conversations after that. But like, there really is no debate up top. Okay. Last year, that jump queue probably cost him the match, at least on day 3, you know? And so for it to go down the way that it did. So it's like the holes that he had in his game, jump queue resolved,
he just went
right. Fatigue, right. At the end of night, well, we got that resolved. We got that plugged up. That ball getting in the way of the one ball every break, we got that resolved. So it's like everything that the dude had an issue with last year, he said, you know what? I got it. I'm just going to do this, and this differently and address it to my standard. And we're going to go on and win. And by the way, he's up 18 games in a race to 40 on day 1.
6.5 hours or whatever it was. It was fast too, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, break and run. And that was the other thing is that like Fedor's pace, I loved yesterday. Early on, I felt like he was very, you know how it is when he's,
oh yeah, really checking stuff out. He's got his cue out over here to the side.
Yeah,
he's like this, with his 2 hands, like he's holding Excalibur,
Yeah.
I know.
He was in rhythm. He was in rhythm. He was fluid. He was comfortable. And as the tables were just opening up and they just the Red Sea just parted, you can just see that like he was just leveling up. You know what I mean? Each and every rack, and he was just more and more comfortable. And that's when that dude is scary because his ceiling is just so extremely high. And I look, Shane's got it in him, but damn, it's going to be hard.
Yeah. What is it that Fedor said? You told me he had a comment somewhere that said like, what happens if I win by 40 games? Will I still get action?
Oh, well, I think it's so when I talked to him the other night, I think we were talking about, and it was kind of like tongue in cheek, but we were talking about,
of course. Yeah, that's what's funny about it.
Like Fedor wanted to bet it up. He wanted to bet it up this match. Good thing for Shane, he didn't bet it up for this match because he saved himself some money. At least that's the way it's looking like right now. But he said, if it doesn't matter what I beat him by in this matchup, like Fedor's already, hey, if and when I get here on the second match, we're playing a third time, and you better come up with some money to play for a third time because Fedor wants to make money. He lost money last year. He's going to be breaking even, probably making a little bit this year. But on the next one, he wants to clean up. He wants to be chomping at the bits the way that he was going into match number 1, like he thought he would. But it just didn't end up happening because Shane was Shane from 12 to 2 a.m. each and every night. So
I hope Shane swapped out his hearing aids for his AirPods just to hear this, to get him real fired up. Because I know if he heard this right now, he'd be real pissed. Well, he'd be like, I'm gonna win this. He'd do his Shane thing. That guy hates losing.
Shane's always on his phone. You can guarantee that. And whenever he's sitting there, you can see him. If you're in the building, it doesn't matter what the event is. He's always on his phone. So I'd imagine he's very much aware of social media. And he's not one of those guys where he's like, I have to turn it all the way off to like get dialed in. Like if he is dialed in and engaged and has a chip on his shoulder, look out, because that's when he can be really dangerous. But like knowing Shane, he's seen everything going on. Like I told you earlier, from what I heard, that he's in good, mentally he's in a good place. So we'll see. We'll see, but it's hard for me to find things to kind of to hold on to when it comes to him making that comeback,
Yeah, especially with the way that Fedor's playing. So we'll see today, but yeah, it starts. When does it start?
I think 6:30 again local, so another like hour and 15. Tomorrow we'll bring in back the MVP Pinozo. Collins, if you're around, we'd love to have you on again. I know you love just publicly drooling on Fedor, as as often as you can. Sorry.
Thank you.
Tyler says, didn't SVB trail by a decent amount? He did, yeah. But like I mentioned, 11, 12 games was like, okay, this could get ugly, right? And that's when I thought if things could shift, then he could do what he did yesterday. and it could have been a lot worse. Like Shane chopped a few back towards the end of the night, but he's very lucky to only be down by 18. So
when it was 12-23 or something or whatever it was, somewhere close to there, I turned to Carl. I said, "Do you think Shane even gets to 25 today?" And then later I was like, "Do you think he even gets to 20?" It was like, dang, this guy just keeps playing perfect. He just keeps playing great. But yeah, obviously he got a few. So 20, it's 22-40, right? So
as like all this was unfolding last night, I was thinking, and I was seeing some comments on social media and stuff, and a lot of barking for Filler to be next. And I want to get your thought on what that potential matchup could be like, and then I'll let you go.
I would think that Filler's going to try to control the break a little bit more, but then than Shane does. Try to play a break a little bit more similar to what Fedor does. But I mean, post break, they look so the same when they're in that groove. They just make it look so easy. I don't know. I think it would be a little bit closer because I think the break would be a little bit more controlled. But I still think Fedor's the favorite in 10 ball. Clearly, look at that break. It's ridiculous.
It's probably the best take you've had since I've met you. It's only took you 3 years. It only took you like 3 years to finally have a good one. No,
Sure.
Honest to God, Collins, I couldn't agree more. And the only sample size that I have to go off of, and I was thinking about this last night, was like COVID Filler. And COVID Filler played James Aranis in the basement, a long race, and it was after a big event. I think after Vegas, they both go to Virginia and play along, like race to 100 or something. But like I remember thinking ahead of that match, because people forget, like James was a top 5 10 ball breaker at that point of his career. You know, back 4 or 5 years ago, you know, he was in it as far as being in that elite category for that break. And that was like that. And that's always been the question mark, you know, post break, what he can do. Right. But does he have that 10 ball break? And I'm not a buyer. But as I was thinking about it last night, to your point, I think I remember him hitting that like soft popish kind of break against James, where he was just drifting those balls into the side and the one ball coming up and dressing up and smoothing in. And so that's where he has that chance. And that's where I think you could have a little bit of hope of that he could really beat him. But Fedor better hope that Filler bites, or else his rotation action, at least in 10 ball, is done.
10 ball, yeah.
It's over with. Like no one's gonna fuck with you. No one's like don't Kachi doesn't speak English right now. Filipinos don't speak English right now. Yeah. They don't speak Russian either.
I was going to say, they should all learn Russian, or he should anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, it's like, I'm serious though. He's like, it's done. It's like, even if you break even on the day, right? Let's say it's like 40-40 on the day, you still killed all of your action. Nobody, unless it's going to be till when Fedor gets 41 and then some young, you know, middle 20-year-old comes and barks at him to play a big set, because I don't think anybody is going to want any part of that dude if he destroys Shane the way that he's on course to do in 2 more days. Yep. So you got anything else, buddy, before we get out of here?
No, I can see Brian writing new names up on the board, so I think my match might be getting called soon. So,
all right, xpool.live for the matches, for the match. I don't know what the next 2 days are cost wise, but if you want to enjoy it, go enjoy it. Collins will keep windows open updates on Collins' tournament streak, so make sure and stay tuned for that. If you don't follow the page, at least follow the page
for sure
for Collins' tournament update, because I'll make sure and give updates throughout.
If you really needed a reason, there you go.
All right, I'm gonna go cook dinner for the girls. I'll see you guys and gals later. Thanks everybody for hanging out.